Thanks for joining me again for another tutorial on how to use a pantograph from the front of your long arm. And I've done a few of these. I'm going to update it just a little bit. I've made a few changes, and I'm going to be a little bit more specific about how I start out using the pantograph. I do use these foam sheets. They're like this. They come, I don't know what length this is, maybe 18 inches. I staple them together. They kind of hinge, so that works out as well. But I take these and put them together as long as I need them. And the pantographs that I use are different sizes, but typically they're 9 to 11 inches. 11 is the most I can do on mine. I use a Qnique 14 plus. So I have about 15 inches in my throat. And that is why I have to limit myself on the size of pantograph. Most of my pantographs I get from, I think it's Urban Elements. Yeah, Urban Elements. They have a petite version of a lot of them, and that's usually what I get if I can. I print them at home, and I tape them together. So I'll show you that as well, but it just kind of goes together like that. After I print them, I just tape them together. So the light is kind of weird. I don't know why I'm getting a glare, but I'm going to kind of turn the camera and show you how I get this set up. My pantograph, I clip to the foam sheets and roll it out and clip it on the ends and on this edge. If I put the clips on the front edge, I have a chance of hitting the needle hitting the clip. So I always try to make sure I clip from this side. That way, if I do hit the paper, it's just the paper and it doesn't hit a clip and throw my machine out of timing and all kinds of crazy stuff. So I also have kind of changed up my laser a little bit. I'm now using a heavy-duty Velcro, and I have a charger that I have nearby, and I keep it charged. But the laser is, I bought this one on Amazon. I think it was like maybe less than 10 bucks. I don't remember, but this specific one is not available. I've had this for several years, but it has different lights on it. It's got a blue light, it has a full flashlight, and it has the red dot. So this is the one that you're going to want to make sure you get that's got the red laser so that it pinpoints where you're trying to aim on the pantograph. And the Velcro lets me move it and adjust it as I need to. It works out really well. In my previous videos, I think I had it taped up there. That worked, but it wasn't great. So the Velcro works better. So to get set up, what I do first is, of course, I stitch the top edge up here, and I'm going to rest the back side of my foot along that stitch line, so I kind of have a guide to make sure I get everything straight. And then what I want to do is on my pantograph, you can see the light. Again, it kind of is distorted, but I'm just going to sit my pantograph, and that's where I would want to start, right there. And so I'm going to adjust my pantograph so that the starting point, the light is on the starting point. And once I have that, I will take a clip, and I'm going to clip the edge here. Sometimes I also clip on this front edge as well. But if you clip it to the batting, it does hold it. It does hold it pretty well on this edge. So I'm going to rest my foot along that stitch line, and as I move down, I'm just going to make sure that this line of stitching stays lined up as I go all the way down, and just adjust your pantograph as needed. And I just move every maybe 12 inches or so and check it. And all the on this edge down here as well, so that it stays. And that's really how I get started. Just make sure I didn't get out of alignment here. Okay, so I'm going to get back to my starting point. And you want to make sure when you're lining this up that you're at the furthest point, because some of these you wouldn't want to start, you know, here on the inside of the flower. You want to make sure you're on the outside, most outer edge, where you're lining up your starting point. So from there, it's just as easy just to get going. And it really does work pretty well. And so anyway, I go all the way down. When I'm done, I come back to this edge and I will take and move. Also, actually, let me stop here and I'll show you how I advance. And I'll be able to go back and finish that row because I know that that stitch line was my starting point. So I'm going to pick this up, take my clip from the other end. I'm going to come in front of the camera and roll. And I'm going to roll to about where I can still see part of the previous stitch. So I know where I have to line up at. So the previous stitch line that I have on my quilt, I'm going to line up with this upper row because this is like this imitates your previous stitch. So you want to line up with that. So that's what I want to do. I'm going to put my needle pointing not in, but line it up with the previous stitching. And again, you want to do the outermost point at on this, and I'm going to line up just like I did before. Make sure everything is tight. And I'll just line up with that previous starting point there. And as long as I'm above that stitch that I previously did, I should be good. So that means I can come up here now to the actual line that I'm going to stitch. This pattern actually has 2 rows, so I could stitch 2 rows at a time that way and then come back. I just don't have enough room in my throat to be able to do that. I could probably adjust my laser enough that I could, but I just am more comfortable doing 1 row at a time. So from there, you would just start your row of stitching again, and it's that easy. Each time you advance, you just want to make sure that you line your needle with the previous stitching, and your laser will line up with where you're going to start. So that is that. I will also do another video when I'm at the end on how to finish it out. Sometimes it can be tricky because you don't want, you know, you have to make sure that it looks decent at the end. It's not going to ever be perfect like it would be computerized, but it actually can be very nice. It can turn out very well. A lot of times on the bottom, I use this row, the bottom row here. If I just need a half of the pattern on there, I'll use this as my guide. That's really it. Leave comments if you want. Feel free to share, and I'll be back to do another video on finishing it up.